So, what do you mean by you're more idealistic?
I'm more idealistic in the sense of like, if I'm going to have a scenario where if I believe in order to have peace or have pacifism to be achieved in the utilitarian sense, I do not believe that's actually the right way. You know, living under a tyrannical rule where your freedom is being, suppressed, or your choice or your individuality is being suppressed like that. But I realize as well with that type of choice, sorry if I'm going off topic or in a tangent.
You're fine.
Um, but in the contrary or the contra, in your individuality can cause certain things to happen, or that individuality of a person can eventually come back and bite itself in the ass to say, oh, that rule is going to be established back. So I'm saying, the type of question is, uh, what do you would you why would somebody want to have that type of peace under a tyrannical rule when your freedom is being suppressed like that
Um,
and being called a utilitarian consequential pacifist?
so your question is, I'm not sure. I get it. So you're saying, why would someone possibly believe in utilitarianism?
Yeah, as a like is a okay. It's traditional utilitarian pacifism, like certain conditions are met where war is necessary in order to achieve a greater goal. And I'm saying that uh, in order to, and basically Sony is a pacifist. Is to me certain pacifists or the generic pacifist is a person that just stands by and not does action when action is necessary. I'm saying that those types of people I hate, and I'm asking um,
Okay.
in a world where you are ruled by a dictatorship,
Okay.
is what I call it really peace now, where your freedom is being stopped, where your freedom is being taken away like that.
So, in a dictatorship, could we really call that peace?
Yeah, would you really call that peace, being peaceful, or being in a peace like
Well, I
situation?
think it depends on the dictatorship. I mean, if it's like any of most of the dictatorships we've seen in the past, probably not, because we see all of those have went up absolutely terribly. So, likely, uh, nothing like we've had in the past. But I'm also not as confident to say just no peace would exist at all, because why would it be an idea to begin with of some sort of peace? But yeah, in the traditional sense of as we understand it as dictatorship, yeah, I don't. It doesn't seem to be that possible, or so extremely difficult to actually be satisfied with such a result. Um, but I mean, I don't think. So the question pretty much boils down to: does dictatorship? I mean, how can you call it peace with dictatorship? Uh, I mean, I don't. I don't. So, uh,
You don't.
yeah, I don't. So I
Okay.
don't know. I guess I feel like that's all what I could really say to that.
Okay. Sorry about that. It's just because I guess a little bit of a, I guess I was interested in pacifism because
Oh, so
I
yeah.
realized that
I mean, we could talk about that. You said that you believe a pacifist is somebody that sits by and watches and does nothing.
in a traditional sense, but
In
I
a what?
feel, but in a traditional sense, like you said, but I
Like I
feel
said.
like there's certain pacifists out there that are more developed than that, where they understand that sometimes you need war in order to establish a more peaceful society, or in order for certain things to happen, a certain change needs to be established. For example, a bully bullying somebody else, or bullying a victim. A pacifist, in that sense, would stand by and just let it happen, but a more developed pacifist would say, "Oh, we need to get a teacher in order for the society as a whole, or the individuals as a whole, to have more to have some peace, even if the bully gets in trouble." And
Hmm.
I believe that the type of peace that I kind of believe is kind of like a balance of, sometimes you need war in order to have more peace or to establish a peace, rather than what the hell is it? Another one, the
Okay.
other way where it's like a pacifist is like, oh, they just stand there, they don't do nothing. And then I think the best example that I got of a traditional pacifist is from the Team 4 Star Bridge Gohan, and where Android 16 makes a point where um, where he has no, but he's where he's fighting perfect cell and all that. And Gohan doesn't want to hurt anyone, doesn't want to do anything because he wants everything to be peaceful and negotiate with words rather than fighting words, rather than fighting itself. I know it's a terrible example, but it's the only example I can remember in my head. And Android 16 makes a point, which is valid, where here goes your crumbling pacifism in the dust
Hmm.
as the world gets destroyed around you, and you do nothing about it.
Hmm. I mean,
And that's a, and I say that Android makes a 16 a good point is because if a traditional pacifist all they do is just stand around and not do action, they're no different than a bystander for a bully.
well, in my book, I wouldn't even call that pacifism. I would just say that's somebody that chooses to do nothing. I mean, that's how I see it. Somebody that just simply chooses to do nothing. They could be a pacifist. They can be pro-war. But if you choose to do nothing, you choose to do nothing. It seems like to me. So I don't know. For me, at least, it seems like those two things are extremely distinct. It's like yours seems to be somebody that does nothing is what you have a problem with, and then you like pacifists that actually believe in pacifism and do something about it and advocate what they believe by actually showing action. I mean,
Yes.
that's what it's. So it seems like you're fine with pacifism. You're just fine with those that just don't do anything, regardless of your belief. Um, so
Yeah, it's because the people that don't do anything, they're no different to a slave. And I guess I'm like Eren Yeager in the Attack on Titan manga now, because when I this is
hmm, your mic lagged. What?
yeah, Eren Yeager, he doesn't like people that are slaves that don't do anything about it if they're being oppressed or a situation where it's uncomfortable to them. They just don't do nothing, just buy and take it up the ass. I'm just I don't like when people admit they like being a slave or they like being being touched. That's why I have a slight problem with my sister right now. That certain things that she's going through, she doesn't, she stands by and does nothing and just lets shit just fall upon her, which is really no different than a slave. She's a slave to her own, to her own mind, and not actually motivated enough to do something.
Yeah. Okay.
Why I have an issue with people that just do nothing. Just stand by, do nothing, no action, no words, no nothing. They just accept it without really thinking why.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. People like that, of course, do exist. I mean, I think all of us actually have a problem with that, even the people that do nothing about it. I mean, I don't know. I would say I definitely agree, of course. I think everybody will agree with you because in order to have things change in your liking and the world's liking, you have to do something about it. But, as we realize, that is easier said than done. And even to those people, to you, you might see what your sister's doing, and for you, it might just be so easy. You need to get up and actually start doing something. But for her, it's probably just not as simple for many reasons. Maybe she just lacks motivation in life, and that plays the biggest factor ever. I don't know. Maybe there's multiple things. Maybe she's a little bit. I don't know. Maybe she gets annoyed more easily than other people. Maybe I don't know. She's not as friendly as other people, and I don't know. And all these factors play in her life, and it becomes more complicated. But regardless, yeah, I don't think you should sit down and wallow and feel sorry for yourself. I do feel like you should get up and actually try to move forward in life because I mean, you sitting there and just doing nothing, as sad as the story is, I mean, it honestly, at the end of the day, it's just you sitting there and crying. Nothing is just going to come from that. And, that's just, I think, a very strong moral truth we come to eventually in life. Is that, as sad as it is, as hard as it is, ultimately, that's that's just you sitting there and being sad, and nothing's going to come from it. And until you realize nothing is going to come from it, and then you try to heal the wound, you try to heal the bone, and make it come back even stronger. And that's the goal. But uh, yeah, so I guess yeah, people sitting there. I think we're all trying to fight, doing what we have to do. I think we're all trying to do that. We're all trying to work on what we're doing. Um, so yeah, you'll I don't know. I guess I'm more understanding with those people because I think whatever they're struggling with, they're eventually going to come to the point where they have to face whatever it is that's bothering them. Because eventually it's going to be just physically too much, and they'd rather address whatever problem they have, um, or put a bullet in their head. Or if you're saying, well, they're causing problems to other people, okay, well, ultimately those people are going to be tested as well then too. Those people are going to be pushed to the limit of where they're going to either kick out your sister, let's say, and that's going to cause some revelation with your sister. I don't know. I just, for me, I guess I'm some I'm I wouldn't say I'm a determinist, but I would say I'm quite logical with these things, and I think they kind of resolve themselves.
Hmm.
So,
Okay, thank you very much.
you know, because but yeah, interesting question. So what are the type of people you don't get along with in life? I think we'll all come across. Of course, there are people that we do not like, but I mean
I
there
guess
are a
I guess
type of
people I
people.
don't
But
get
but
along is I
hold on real
guess
quick. I want to make sure this is very clear. Um, but there are type of people that you really don't get along with. Like you guys are complete opposite people, nearly to the point of where it's just discomforting to even be around those people or listening to them or something. What are some people you feel like it's nearly impossible to actually just be around?
people that I guess what I find people that certain people are suffocating is people either A, they just are very persistent in not really changing a subject, or um, what's another word again? They're um, very determined and they're very stubborn, even though they're not right in most people's eyes. If a situation comes down to a big social group, and we all have a similar opinion about a person, and the person tries to deny it over and over and over again without really providing any reason of why, of that reasoning to do so, I think that is somebody that's gonna be hard for me to get along with because I feel like they would be more of a stubborn person, like that type of denial. I hate denialism.
Mm, why
I
is
hate
that?
people that are like, I guess people in denial, either A, they see a reason that's beyond us, and maybe, um, we might not understand, which is perfectly fine. But, but I just feel like, if a person is just a denialist and just keeps on denying, even after getting proven evidence of the same thing over and over again, I probably won't get along with them very well. It just becomes a game of, oh, I have to tell this dude, I have to tell this dude, I have to tell this dude. And it comes down, and I guess it's just bothersome. I think.
Okay. Mm.
But would that be normal for anyone really? That basically kind of like that, like
Uh,
oh,
I would say not. I mean, I don't know. Of course, I would say everybody that. I mean, no. I think there are different. Not for everybody, but I think a lot of people, of course, including myself, are just annoyed with not that exact example. You'll notice with me, and you'd probably think quite the opposite. But I really don't care about social scenarios. I really don't care what people say, how people act for the most part. I don't know. I just don't really care about that. Well, I do know. But something that I do not like is somebody that's very closed off. When you speak to somebody, usually there are ways you can kind of get in. And the reason why you want to get in is so you can actually get your point across to the real person. So you're not just talking to this mirage or something, but you're actually speaking to the real person and they can listen to you. Some people just completely block all of that off completely, and they just will not. They refuse to have a real conversation with you, and they refuse to admit that they're doing that, either because they just really don't know what they're doing, or they're just straight up lying. And those people, uh, I find a waste of time to speak to. At least when they're in those modes. So I tend to stay away from them. People like that, I don't know, man. They're honestly they're kind of scary, to be honest. They're pretty scary people. Everybody I've met like that, they've always been scary people.
okay.
Yeah.
I see, and it's quite nice. It's quite nice you have a good what's the word again? You're very good at noticing that about yourself.
Noticing what?
Like basically what you find something that you kind of detest. I would say is a nicer word.
I
You
mean,
detest.
well, my
Like this.
goal when speaking to people is always to try to speak to them. Because mostly when you speak to people in social scenarios, you're not speaking to them, but you're speaking to, once again, this type of mirage that's really just it's just like their social manifestation, and that exists for a multitude of reasons, and they have a bunch of, I would say, elements to themselves that are just really just not them. And it's very uncomfortable to speak to somebody like that because I don't know, you can tell they're not real, I guess. And yeah, so I always try to speak like realistically or coming from myself. Um, and so when you attempt to do that, when you attempt to shoot that, and somebody, I guess, they see that you're doing that, but they choose to respond artificially, it's very weird. It's very weird. It's like having a bank deal or something, and it's like you got the money, and you're like, yeah, of course, and you give them the money, and it's all real, but then they give you some obviously fake drugs, like you look and it's actually baking powder, and the weed is some grass they pulled out, and and they took your money though right in front of you, like, well, here you go, man, here you go. It's like they're trying to sell it as if it's real, and obviously you're just not. I mean, you're just not that blind, but it's weird that they treat you as if you are that blind. It's weird. It's like, I don't know. They're so impressed by the fake weed. They're so impressed by the fake cocaine that it blinds them from how it actually looks in reality, or how it actually is. And so it's weird. So it's like they don't see it. They're more blind
The fake the
than,
fake cocaine.
yeah, the fake cocaine. So remember that analogy. So
I'll remember that. I'm sorry,
yeah.
it's just funny. You
Well,
make
yeah,
some pretty good
that's how it
analogies.
is. Yeah, that's how it is. It's when you try to be real with somebody and they give off fake stuff to you. It's very awkward and weird and just kind of unbelievable. But something else is going on in there, because you're like, why did this guy just sell me like fake cocaine? Like, you open it up. I mean, hey, you open it up, you even put your finger on it, you taste it a bit, and they're still confident. They're shaking their heads, smiling, like, yep. It took me a while to get that. You're like, oh, really, huh? What, you must have went at least a block to Walmart to get that, huh? You're tasting it, and you're like, yeah, man, yeah. You're like, huh, man, how? I don't know. Then if you shoot the guy, he doesn't even know why you shot him. He's like, well, why'd you shoot me? What happened? It's like they're blind to it. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's fake. Like, what? No, what are you talking about? It's not fake. And you're just like, what do you do in that point? But yeah.